Hi, everyone.
Hello.
I am here with my team's favorite team. Just kidding. No. Welcome, everybody, back to my college football series where I am picking impactful teams in college football. And what I'm doing this year, instead of doing a top 25, I thought it would be cool to pick the teams that I think will be the most impactful because all I care about is college football playoffs, obviously. And so if Oklahoma wins, it's going to be impactful. If Oklahoma loses, it's going to be impactful because if they're there, they have a spot. If they're not there, somebody else is going to take that spot. And honestly, I feel like anytime you have a really good defense in college football, the opportunities for you are endless. I'll just leave that where it is for now, and I'll just stop there. So that is why I have Oklahoma on this list, and yeah, I'll just leave that where it's at. And then the other thing is I'll let Jason introduce himself, but all of his information will be in the description box below. And before we get started, we are friends, so this isn't going to be we're not going to be up here arguing. So
No,
I
no,
just
no,
always
we
like
don't
to
do all
level
that.
set.
We don't
I just
do
always
all
like
that.
to level
We might
set.
pick at each
Anytime
other a little bit, but it's not
yeah,
ever really.
just want to level set. So if you're here, for good football conversation, you're in the right spot. So, anyways, if you just want to introduce yourself, and then we will get to talking all about these Oklahoma Sooners.
Okay, yeah. Jason Watkins, Hall of Fame, college football. Uh, yeah, I'm a Sooner creator, but I cover a lot of SEC. I like college football as a whole, so
Yeah.
kind of like you. It's not just I don't just focus on Oklahoma. I love the game. So
Yeah.
I watch the most obscure, stupid games that nobody watches. If it's on, I watch it. So, but yeah, this is an Oklahoma thing, and I definitely covered them the most closely and went to school there. So
Yeah. I always tell people, I'm like, I have friends all over. I don't care what team they cheer for. And I think it actually makes for a better relationship because nobody knows your rivals better than you do. So it's like if I ask you a Texas question, you could probably answer it. If you ask me something about Oklahoma, I could probably answer it too. So
more
that's
times
what
than not.
makes it yeah, that's what makes it fun. So, anyways, well, thanks for being back. Thank you for doing this. You always tell me you're like, if I don't represent Oklahoma, I might feel away. And I would never do this if you said no. Obviously, that's one thing, but I would always ask you first. So just to
Well, I
make that
appreciate
clear.
it. Yeah.
Awesome. So, what's the biggest storyline for you guys this year surrounding your team? Like, what is something that you think is people are talking about, or people are waiting for, or people are like paying attention to when it comes to your team?
Yeah, the only thing is John Mateer and the Oklahoma offense. I think Sooner fans are kind of in one or two places. They're either blindly trusting that John Mateer and the offense is going to look like weeks 1 through 4 of 2025, where,
Okay.
pre-thumb injury, of course, and, where Mateer leads the Sooners to statement wins over Michigan and
Mhm.
Auburn, tight games, but, he has, where he's kind of doing off script, a mix of off script playmaking with his legs and arm. So it's just I think that's I don't know how I want to put this. It's like that fantasy land thing of what you thought you were seeing. I think a lot of fans thought they
Fair.
were seeing at that point,
Yeah.
even though there was points at every one of those first 4 games where he had a turnover and wasn't probably being as clean with the football as he should have been, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Mhm.
Um, or B, there's another group of fans that are very skeptical after watching John Mateer in the OU offense post week 4, which was broken thumb, and the OU defense being forced to kind of carry on its back and unreliable and it's unreliable and shit, man. It was just erratic is the word I'm looking for.
Ooh,
Unreliable,
okay.
erratic football team on the offensive side. They were carrying them on their back, and I think a lot of the games, obviously you go on the road to Tennessee and have a huge win there. There was points of that time of that game where you had great offense, but it was really more of a kicker thing in that one too. But
Mhm. Hi there. If you haven't already, double check and make sure that you are subscribed to my channel. Make sure that you hit the like button. Leave me a comment in the comment section below. And lastly, for this series, every single person that I'm going to talk to has a social media presence. So make sure that you go into the description, you find their social media platforms, and you find them wherever you can find them on any social media platform. And as always, I will let you get back to your video.
You also had, times that you had them put away and you didn't get them put away until, right at the very end. But then, you go in and you win a game in Tuscaloosa, which is great for the program and it's exhilarating. But you go back and look at the stats and they completely outgained you and did everything but beat you on the scoreboard there, which turned out to be kind of a sign to or a sign of what was to come in the playoff, if it makes sense, right? And that's but again, the defense was week after week after week coming up with big play and sack after, or fumble, forcing fumbles, getting interceptions, things like that, and just kind of dragging the offense along. They got the whole hard to kill moniker, but they were hard to kill, but because the defense was killing everything else,
Seriously.
Yeah. And so I think it's like I said, it's a mixture between what are we going to see this year, right?
Okay.
What are we going to see this year? Are we going to see, that John Mateer from the first 4 weeks or the second half of the, second half of the last 2/3 of the season where it was just like, because you kind of saw it coming, really. You know what I mean? I mean, we talked about this during the season a few times where it was like
immediately when I saw that Michigan game, I was like, oh, really? No, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, he played really well and stuff. And it's one thing for week 2 for it to look that way, but if it doesn't start looking better at some point, then it becomes a problem. And then once he broke his hand, I mean, you know what happened.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day,
what
I think
happened?
it's a difference.
What happened the game he came back after he had his hand? Do you remember? I don't know.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember. Every Oklahoma fan remembers that part. It's and I mean, man, that's the second year in a row that I sat in that stadium and was like, oh, you get physically ill from it. You know what I mean? It's
Third time's a charm.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, here's the thing. I can't even really pick them until I see them like at least score a touchdown in the damn stadium. I mean, 2 years in a row.
7 minutes in and we're talking. Somebody said something and I was like, I don't care about Oklahoma until they score a touchdown against my team. And when they do, I'm all in. But until that, because it's just funny. It's actually really funny. But because it's just random.
Maybe for you. Maybe for you. I mean, I'll give you that much.
It's so random.
I think the biggest thing for us is you were at the Lincoln Riley years, you were dying for a defense that had a pulse, right?
True.
And the offense was carrying you. And I mean, and of course you're beating Texas. So a lot of things get covered up by that.
Yep.
There's a lot of paint and wallpaper that got slapped up on the wall and it looked like everything was great. Turns out it wasn't. But at the end of the day, it makes you feel better as a fan when you're beating your rival. When you're not scoring a touchdown in the Cotton Bowl for 3 out of 4 seasons, it's not as it's a tough pill to swallow. You know what I mean? But the biggest thing is now you've got a defense that is truly elite, right? I mean, this is an elite level defense that on all 3 levels, and they probably don't even get enough love for how good they are by and large. But I would say that you have that now, and it's not that your offense isn't as explosive as it was under Lincoln Riley. It's not existent in comparison to the Lincoln Riley offenses. And so, I mean, I know we're gonna get more into this as we go on.
So I know your strength.
I think that they are addressing it, and and thankfully, but.
And I was going to say your strength. I mean, the next question is, what is your strength? Obviously, it's the defense. I mean, we've talked about it.
That's the easy one. It's completely
right. So that's why for me, I'm just like, let's just, we know that answer. So, all right, here's the.
What is your biggest weakness though?
Where's your biggest weakness? Where's your biggest concern? Because we'll just give the defense their flowers, right? We'll just
Well, yeah,
I have
I
a
think we
thing.
should probably talk about the defense and just for a second. Let's just do a smidge here because not only you lost some guys. You lost R. Mason Thomas, who was your leading sack guy. I mean, he and a guy like G Baby goes to the league, but you bring back Kip Lewis, who I think, in my mind, he's probably the most underrated, best linebacker in the country type of guy, and he deserves a lot more love than he gets. And I think he's just a little undersized, but the guy's disruptive and unbelievably good. You also bring back a guy in David Stone, who's, he's a first rounder waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Taylor Wine kind of showed himself to be very good when R. Mason went down, but I think that some of the guys that you're coming up and going to be seeing a lot more of this year, guys like Michael Boganowski, and then Danny Okoye, I can't wait to see more of him. You go get a guy like Cole Sullivan as a linebacker from Michigan. I think he's going to be fantastic as well. They're really good in the secondary. Reggie Powers. Like I said, all three levels of the defense, I don't think that they lose a beat. I really don't. In fact, I think they could be better. We'll wait and see kind of how it stretches out. But yeah, it's definitely the strength. The weakness, if we're going to talk about weaknesses, or you said weakness or concern that could derail everything, right?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, if we go back and we expect it to be the exact same thing as what we saw last year, it's simple. It's not just John Mateer. It's, do you have a run game?
Running game, yeah.
But I would tell you that it's because of what I've seen. At this point, I call it a question, and at worst, it's a concern.
Okay, that's fair.
Because we've seen, I know that OU has addressed it both with personnel and with some, coaching changes, in those departments. You go out and get a guy like Dalen McCullough to replace DeMarco Murray at running backs coach. They haven't produced very well. We're talking about the run game. So, and they just haven't, they recruited well, but it hasn't really shown up on the field much, you know. Now, a lot of that I think would have to do with the offensive line, and I think there's people that still question that quite a bit. If you were paying attention to what Oklahoma, part of the reason that they were even functional at all at times on the offensive side at the end of the year was because of the fact that Michael Fasusi and guys like Ryan Foje grew up fast. Freshman linemen. Fasusi started every game as a true freshman at left tackle. That's legit. You don't see that very often, right? So I think that they're better there. They go out and get a guy like Marion Harris that's played a lot of games for Arkansas at right tackle. He's going to fit right in there, I believe. Jake Michaela was, he came from Stanford last year, but he was young and kind of growing into the center position. He got hurt right at the end of last year, and but he seems to be the guy that everybody's pointing to as making a big jump.
Okay.
You saw Eddie Pierre-Louis on at the guard position on the left side. He, I think everybody was a little worried. He's a big boy. He's got speed. He's got plays with violence, what you want from your lineman. But I think technique-wise, they were a little worried. He's been apparently so good that they took him to media days. So, that wasn't the expectation. He went to media days. I don't think anybody thought he was going to be the guy that goes. So, I think that was addressed. But then you go out and you get guys like, well, first off, you make a hire. You fire Joe John Finley, finally. Tight end coach. You go get a guy that, Jason Witten to be the tight end coach. Immediately.
Where have I heard that name? I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Where would you hear that? Hall of Famer. He's done, I think that he's from everything you're hearing and stuff. And I was watching what Brent Venables was saying at media days today. And he was talking about how he's a dude, man. They love him. He's bringing a lot to the table as far as, things that you can expect, and things that you might be seeing from a defense, but also he's been able to go get guys like Hayden Hansen from Florida, who was a big part of their power run game with Jaden Ball last year. Rocky Beers from Colorado State. Both these guys are seniors, but they're big boys, 6'6" and 6'8", well over 260 each. These are guys that can get out on the edge and block and help you have a run game. Even a guy like Jack Van Dorsler, he was at Tennessee last year as a true freshman. He's coming in as a true sophomore. I think he's got a little ways to go, but he's going to bring depth to a position that they had a converted linebacker that was undersized and couldn't block at all, and a guy that had been hurt for the better part of his career in Oklahoma. It was very underwhelming what was going on in the tight end room. But also
to me, the offense was just underwhelming. I felt like there were moments where you were like, okay, maybe. And then there were moments where you were like, oh, no, this isn't it. And then there was moments where you're like, terrible clock management that didn't go the way that was supposed to go. So it was just like a hodgepodge of just what's going to go wrong this time.
I mean, since Bob Stoops got there in 1998, 99, they've been the best offense in the country by and large.
Mm-hmm.
Year to year. I mean, there's years that they weren't, but
you traded a great defense.
Right. Well, there was times that they had great defense until after Stoops left. But I would say again, that's not what you're used to seeing. And if you can put even just a serviceable offense together with this level of a defense that Brent's put together, and make no mistake, they're unreal. I mean, I had the film guy on my show the other night, and he was talking about that coordinators in the SEC that have told him, man, you don't know what's coming because he never puts anything on film from week to week that you've seen already. Yeah. So you're not getting what you've seen on film whenever you play them. So these are things that, not everybody does that, but I think that's the big. I think that they've addressed it. I mean, obviously, Dalen McCullough. They replaced obviously DeMarco with him at the running backs. He was at Notre Dame. He's the one that recruited Jeremiah Love, Jadarian Price. Before that, what was his Audric Estime? He was with the Chiefs before that. And really was kind of pretty instrumental in that. Andy Reid loved him. He was just with the Raiders and did great things with Ashton Jeanty. But even before that, he had worked with Kevin Wilson at Indiana, and they had a 1,500-yard back when he was there. Had a 1,500-yard back when he was at USC as a running backs coach. This guy puts guys out that can get it done. They've got some good pieces in there already, I believe. Then you go and add a guy like Jonathan Hatton. They flipped him from Texas A&M. That was a huge grab. I think that you've got some young pieces that can be really good in the run game, or at least you just won't be putrid like you were, and it won't just be Mateer running the football. Because I think the one thing we had last year at Oklahoma was that you had a backup plan that they never used, but Michael Hawkins was still there. Now he's at West Virginia.
We're not doing that. We're not going down the Michael
I'm not going down that road. What I'm getting at is you don't have any behind John Mateer, you have no experience.
Yeah.
You have a true freshman. You have a guy in Whit Neubauer that, he comes from the FCS or low level G5, right? Hasn't played a ton. He's a big guy, got a big arm, but none of these guys have any experience. So if John Mateer was to go down because he's your entire offense, like what they did last year, then I think you're in trouble. Or you just have to hope and pray that one of these guys catches lightning in a bottle. And I just don't see that happens. Right.
Okay. Well, let's just hope we don't get to that. What is one thing outside of your fan base that is misunderstood or that people you don't feel like talk about enough when it comes to Oklahoma?
I don't know.
What do you hear mainstream media saying when they talk about Oklahoma that you're kind of like,
yeah,
I don't really know about that.
I don't know that the mainstream media is completely wrong. I think they kind of sleep on them a little bit because of, and probably for good reason, because of the offensive thing. But I don't think I think there was times last year where, even as they were going through that stretch in November where they were winning all these games, and games you probably shouldn't have won, but nobody really talked about their defense being as good as it was, right? Okay. I think, you talked about Ohio State's defense. You talked about Indiana's defense, and for good reason. and then later on, you were really. They always talked about A&M's defense, which okay, but then at one point, then it became about Miami's defense, which they were legit. I think that we talked about it like when they got ready for the national championship game that they just didn't go very deep though. You know what I mean? And so it felt like they kind of wore them out a little bit. And I forever say that you were completely right about that starting before that game, because by the end of the game, I don't know that Fernando makes that run at the end if they, if that
there was a solid rotation. Yeah.
Right?
No.
But nobody was talking about OU that way. And I would say for sure, guys like, again, I think Kip Lewis is slept on. I just think he's completely slept on. This is a guy that, I mean, he's back, and he brought that up as a reason why he wanted to come back. Part of it was because he felt like he was not getting any. I mean, the SEC honors, none of that stuff was coming his way. And I mean, he's been legit for a while now. It wasn't even his first year to be that way. He had 2 pick sixes in their first year in the SEC.
Okay.
So anyway, I don't know that there's, but I mean, it's Oklahoma. There's not going to be too many. I mean, they're going to know who you are. You know what I mean? If you're playing pretty well, and if you're not, they're going to be talking about that too. So I don't know that there's a lot that people are missing. I think they're missing out on guys like Kip Lewis for sure.
Okay. I love it. Is there a bold prediction that you have about the team this year?
I don't know. Not really.
Come on. You at least have to say they score a touchdown against Texas. Like, come on.
Oh, well, yeah. Is that bold?
Well, they haven't done it in 2 seasons.
Shut up,
so it's kind of bold. I
think they're going to score a touchdown against Texas. God, I hope so. I mean, I really hope so. I don't know that. I mean, what would be bold though? I mean, if they get back to I guess as bold as you look at this schedule again, it's a gauntlet. I mean, they're running through. I think the first month of the season is Murderer's Row, and it doesn't get a whole lot easier after that.
Okay.
You go on the road to Michigan.
Who do you have before your bye? Go ahead. Sorry, you were about to say.
You go on the Michigan. You go week 2, you're at Michigan in the Big House. Okay. Week 4, you're in Athens. Then the bye week, and then you got Texas.
That's how y'all start.
Believe they kind of need to go 2-1 there.
Interesting.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I think if you don't go 2-1, I think can you survive 7 straight games, no more buys, and without another loss? And you can talk about 9-3 teams should get in. Maybe they should get in, but will they? I don't know. Can we trust the strength of schedule bullshit? I don't know that you can. So to me, I feel like that's the most. I mean, it's always most important because it's your next game. But I'm just that first month plus of the season is super critical, man. If you go 1-2 in those 3 big games, then you have no margin for error.
Right. And then you have 7 straight games.
7 straight games. You still play Ole Miss. You still play Florida on the road. You still play Mizzou. You still play A&M. I mean, you're not. You play a Mississippi State team that's got Kamario Taylor, who, wait and see, this kid is going to be unfreaking godly. I mean, he's like Cam Newton with a better arm. And I don't know that means you shouldn't lose that game, but it is in Starkville. You know what I mean?
And things get weird. Yeah.
Things can get weird. You know what I mean? And so there's some games and you just can't afford a hiccup at that point. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I feel like it's important. I don't know that. So I don't want to make bold predictions about it. I think it could go a lot of ways. Here's what I would tell you. Again, I'm going to say with this defense, there's not a game you can't win unless you can't put the offense behind it, that, complementary offense, run the football, help your defense out a little bit so that they're not by the end of the season at their frazzled in. You know what I mean? That it's to the point that they're worn the hell out because they're just carrying it like that. You got to balance it out. Absolutely. And it's, complementary football. That's what it is.
Full stop. Awesome. Well, let's get to some of the fun questions. So, besides your own team, which program are you most interested in watching this season and why? Do you have somebody that you're kind of keeping your eye out on, or do you have a
Yeah.
couple of teams that you're kind of keeping an eye out on?
Probably a few. I mean, I kind of put, I was looking at that one. I mean, probably Indiana because you just kind of want to see if they can back it up,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the most amazing thing that they won it all. I got nothing but props for Signetti and the way he does things. I mean, wow. But
Yeah.
the other one is probably Ole Miss though, because you're wondering what's going to happen there. They play a tougher
Mm-hmm.
schedule. I mean, I'm a big fan of Trinidad Chambliss. I think they've held on to some pieces that, I mean, if Lane's still there, then you expect them to kind of be similar or the same.
Facts.
He ain't
Mm-hmm.
there.
Right.
He ain't there. And they also play a lot tougher schedule, really. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they had Georgia, Oklahoma. That's about it as
That
far
was
as
it.
the really good teams in the SEC last year. So now they play Texas. Now they
Mm-hmm.
play Oklahoma again. They play Georgia again. I mean, they're playing everybody.
Yeah. Freaking
I
nine
think
team
they play
schedule. Great
A&M as
job,
well.
SEC.
They
Great
play
job.
LSU. Yeah, I mean, it's so weird, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, no balance to this thing. It's so weird anyways. But
It's stupid.
at the end of the day, I think Brooks Austin was talking about the other day that, and Lane, I guess, brought this up during the playoff game that they played against Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about since the helmet comms thing, where ever since then they've been, I guess, the best offense or the winningest team because of whatever. Well, what he said was, yeah, it's because he can be in their ear, you know, changing the play call because they play in tempo as well until that 15-second mark.
Right.
And so he's been out there, and I mean, Lane Kiffin has been the cheat code because of the fact that he's there and able to like diagnose what's going on. They talked about whenever he was at Alabama, he would whistle because they didn't have a helmet comm, and he would change the play at the line like that. Well, now Lane's down in Baton Rouge.
Yeah. That's
a
different. Yeah.
They've got a guy at OC that's going to be calling the plays that was with Lane and Levy back in the a few years back, but it's not the same thing.
Nope.
So,
nope.
I think it's interesting.
So you said Ole Miss, Indiana, and
I mean, there's a lot of teams that I'm interested in. I think Florida is one of those teams that I'm interested in. I like John Summerall a lot.
Well, that's enough. I just wanted to see like where your head was at with that. Okay, well, the best question that I have of the night, maybe not, we'll see, is if you could add a single player from any team and just steal them from their team and plop them on your team and give you a better peace of mind, who would you take from all of college football and add to your team and why?
You think you're so slick, really flawed.
I just asked the questions. They're here for you.
Slick. You know exactly what you're doing.
They're here for you. So whatever you say is whatever you say.
Oh, you're such a you know exactly what you were going to do with this. You think you're so slick.
No,
all right.
You just
you know
answer
damn
whatever
well where
your heart says.
Oh, I hate
wherever your heart takes you.
Yeah, it would be Trinidad Chambliss. Yeah.
You're gonna pluck him from Ole Miss and have him play starting quarterback for the Oklahoma Sooners.
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
Yeah, I would.
Why? Why?
I mean, because I'm not sold. Let's just say I'm not sold. Broken thumb or not. Whether, look, I think that John Mateer may be a lot better. I think he may be a lot better. I think that they've addressed some things that were not helping him be good either.
Okay.
He's got parts that I think that he's addressed it as well. He's been spending time even with Venables learning to read defenses better. That's positive. Apparently he's spent time with Sam Bradford. Look, he's putting in work with coaches that work with Josh Allen. I mean, this is a good thing. These are good things. I don't know that you can fix it in one off season, but with the, I mean, maybe he's marginally better, and the pieces that go around him. I think Gabe Biker said a really smart thing. If the pieces around him are better, and we're talking, from receivers, which I think that, there's another thing that they've done. They've added pieces there, like Parker Livingston. They've added pieces there that can be helpful. Tight ends, running backs. If everybody else is doing a great job, he doesn't have to be, the second coming of Baker Mayfield. He doesn't. What he has to do is not make stupid choices, right?
Are you going back on your choice? Are you taking
no
Trinidad? What are we doing?
In a heartbeat. I would, listen. I watched what Trinidad did.
Okay. Well, I'm just making sure you're not trying to backslide on the answer
that guy
here.
Came from Division II, where he won 2 national championships.
Okay. I was just making sure.
They ran out of time against Miami. You know what I mean? They ran out of time. So to me, I don't know. It's wild to me that he wasn't a Heisman finalist last year. Because
that's a whole different. I just, the way they do these things, I'm just like, I don't believe anything they do, honestly. But okay, so what 3 words
Darian
do you
Mintz,
hope?
if there was another one, it'd be like, I think Darian Mintz is fantastic too.
Either way, you're swapping out that quarterback.
Yeah, I would. That's your big question to me.
No.
It is.
Okay.
I made me do this, but okay.
Hey, sometimes you got to swap out your quarterback. Sometimes you just have to swap out your quarterback. I understand. Well, what 3 words do you hope define the season?
I'm the one that does this all the time anyway. Out of all the Oklahoma creators, I'm the one that does not cut slack to John Mateer or Ben Arbuckle.
You shouldn't. Nobody should. Yeah. I think it's ridiculous that we cut these people slack. Like, no, if you're not cutting it, this is a results business. We need results. If you're not providing results, then you got to go. You got to go. You got to get moved out. Like, that's just how this should go. And anybody that is not holding that standard, I don't trust your assessment. Like, just be honest. What do you see? What do you think? What do you feel? Would you feel better if it was another guy? If the answer is yes, then okay. Work. Like, I don't know. I don't know why.
If they were going to send somebody away, they could have kept Mike around. I would have been fine.
Okay. So the next question is, what 3 words do you hope define your team season this year? Try not to use words like champion, winning, all of those words. What 3 words do you hope?
Well, you mean define? Like this cliche stuff? No, none of that.
Yeah.
I had to think about this for a few minutes, but
I think like that.
Tough. The words would be tough, connected, and complete. Okay. Obviously, Oklahoma's got to be physically tough, mentally strong as well. There's lots of ways that you define tough, but I think physically and mentally strong to handle the grind of the SEC. They've got to win at the line of scrimmage, respond in games that they're going to get tested in, which is going to be often. Connected, obviously, offense, defense, special teams. They got to complement each other. We talked about that a few minutes ago. It also would kind of reflect a locker room that trusts its coaches, communicates well together. I think that, I think that they're connected with each other. I think they seem to work for each other. As much as I dog on John Mateer, nobody else does in that locker room.
Okay,
they seem to love him. So there's some connection there. And then the last one would be complete. Is obviously, I think we know that it can play championship caliber defense. A complete season would mean that they're pairing that defense with, a reliable physical brand of offense as well. And, a quarterback that plays with less self-inflicted wounds, smarter, things like that. I think together those 3 words describe a team that is, going to be hard to break. And they're capable in every phase of the game to go and do what you're hoping they do, which is win that championship. Because make no mistake, nobody gives a shit about anything else in Norman. It's natty or bust all the time, just like it is in Austin.
Yeah. I'm just gonna let that one go. So, okay, last question. Who on your schedule worries you the most? Like, not the games where, like, if you lose, you're kind of like, well, yeah, they're kind of okay. But is there anybody on your schedule that you're like, we have to at least beat them? Like, if we have a loss this season, it can't be this team. Who is that team for you?
Well, I mean, it makes me physically ill for OU to lose to Texas, but and as
But that's
I guess as much as that sucks though, the
yeah.
fact is Texas is probably the most complete team in college football right now. If you look at the
He's getting
roster and
disgusted,
what they
everyone.
did, and I mean what they did to like fix the issues that they had last year,
Mm-hmm.
they're loaded. I mean, spare no expense, they're loaded up. So even though, if it weren't for the last 2 years, I wouldn't you can say even though you never want to lose to them, you could
Right.
still say, "Look, man, it's freaking Texas. If you have a hard-fought game and you lose in a competitive one, okay, fine. You move
Mm-hmm.
on, whatever. You did it last year, so it is what it is." But so taking that one out,
Yeah.
I'd probably have to say it's gotta be one of those games that you just don't see them having any business losing.
Like a
Because and the reason
Mississippi
be
State.
and I'm gonna tell you one of those teams, it'd be either Missouri and this might be a hot take, Texas A&M. I don't believe in Texas A&M. And I think that Mike Elko's a really good coach. I'm not hating on Mike Elko.
Yeah.
I think Mike Elko made a big mistake, really flawed. I don't know why you go get a first-time play caller to replace your offensive coordinator when you have a quarterback who's as turnover
It's like
prone as
John
John
Mateer.
Mateer,
Yeah.
and you have a brand new offensive line aside from one guy.
Mm-hmm.
You lost a lot of that defense. I mean, everybody's acting like they're coming back the same football team as what you saw last year. They're not really close
Mm-hmm.
to the same football team. Oh, and
And
by the way,
and
they
I'm gonna
play a tougher
argue.
schedule in the SEC.
I was gonna say, and let's not act like they, really, you know, put it out there,
They
beat
got
people. Like, and when they did face the team, yeah.
They got
So
bitch slapped. They got bitch
so
slapped in Austin, and then they got bitch slapped by Miami in their own house.
at home, yeah. Okay.
I mean, I know they're like, well, they lost by 7. They scored 3 freaking points.
You know what that's like.
Indeed. That means so you don't want to lose to any of the. I mean, listen, and then the other thing is that nobody beats on Texas A&M the way Texas does, except for OU. All those
This
years together in
conversation
the
is so
Big 12,
enlightening.
Oklahoma beat them 77-0 once.
Yeah.
They're little brother to Oklahoma too. So, it's kind of is what it is.
Okay. Awesome. Well, those were all the questions.
So you don't want to lose it, but the reason you don't want to lose those games, you start questioning the staff again.
No,
Why
I know
is it
because
that
there's
you
certain
can't
games you're
get
supposed
these
to win.
guys up for games that yes, you should beat them.
Can I ask a
You gotta
question?
make sure that they step on necks when you meet a team like that. So
Where's the
I think
game
that
at?
invites questions. Huh?
Where's the game at? Is it in
It's in Norman too. That one's in Norman.
Okay.
Now the Missouri game is at Mizzou, but you lost to them a couple of years ago, and that's not okay either.
Oh,
You
that
can't do
game.
that.
Was that the
Yeah.
game where it was like, okay. Where the
Yeah,
quarterback
where
at
they
the
were
end?
winning until the very end, and
The very
Jackson
end?
Arnold just like throws it away
Okay.
twice.
Right. I remember that.
in the
I
last
remember that as
they
if
were
I
up
just
7
watched
with 2
it.
minutes to go and lose by 7 in regulation.
Yeah.
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 These are games that you don't want to see. I mean, again, you could probably throw the Mississippi State game or the Kentucky game in there too. But I don't really look.
Is it at Kentucky or is it at Oklahoma?
Kentucky's at Oklahoma, but Mississippi State is in Starkville. Again, I don't think that's a walkover game. I think you need to handle your business there. Yeah. But but you should still win the game, right? I mean, you should still win the game. So I could understand a loss to a team like Florida in the swamp. We watched Texas do it last year, and they were loaded with talent. They just didn't have a very good coach. They have a good coach now. Yeah. It's always a tough place to win. It would still suck. But again, I believe that you need to beat Texas A&M. I don't buy Texas A&M at all. I've said that pretty loud on multiple occasions now. So if they lose, it's going to be bad for me. But Mizzou, again, I don't ever like losing. The idea that they're a rival is laughable to me. They're not. But they like to act like they are. And their Twitter mouths are crazy.
It's okay. Everyone thinks they're a rival against Texas. Everyone. I'm like, who?
Weird?
Like, how are we everyone's rival? Like, we just got here.
A&M being that way, and like Arkansas hates you guys so bad.
Arkansas hates us. Even LSU this year is like trying to talk trash. I'm like, guys.
Oh, they're feeling themselves. They're feeling themselves down in Baton Rouge right now.
It's so weird, but you know what? Like it always happens. Only when you're good do people want you to be their rivals. So it's fine. Like it is what it is. There's nothing we can do. So, anyways, well, those are all the questions that I had for you. So I appreciate you chatting with me and talking to me about Oklahoma, and just sharing your insight, and honestly, just having a conversation with me about your team and being a part of this. I will end with you, just like I do on every other episode I collaborate with. All of your information will be in the description. I'll also add you as a collaborator when the episode goes live so that you can, we'll show up together on that as well. But is there any other, and then obviously I'll do all the social media stuff and I'll tag you and everything. But is there anything else that you want to add, that you want to share, or that you wish that we would have talked about before we end?
No, I think it was a great show. I think you always do good work, and I enjoy hanging out with you and stuff and talking ball. So, yeah, it'll be another fun season. I'm excited that the damn thing's starting finally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Today was the first day of media days, and it's like, hey, we're getting closer.
Yeah. So. Is Texas is probably Thursday, huh? For their media day.
The last day, yeah. It's
of course.
Which is kind of, they were the first day last year. Or 2
No, I think we were like Wednesday or something like that. Because remember, it was like the pictures came out and it was like everything was looking weird. And I was like, oh, did Texas not? And then, of course, Arch Manning rolls up, and then you'd think they just saw a celebrity. I'm like, here we go with this crap.
It's going to be. It's crazy that they did it on Thursday, though, because that's when everybody's kind of ready to get out of there. And if you noticed, it wasn't super heavy. And maybe it was because Kentucky and Mizzou being there today. We'll see how it looks tomorrow.
Yeah, who's tomorrow?
Georgia is one of them for sure, and then
they'll bring
sure the rest. But I will say, a lot of people I've heard people talking about it being in Tampa. Not everybody is there. I don't think.
Oh, I didn't realize it was that far.
Yeah, and it's kind of expensive to go there, and so I don't think they picked a great place. Apparently, next year they'll be back in Nashville. So
that was dumb. That was fun. I feel like they're just doing a lot of dumb stuff. Like, anyways, whatever. Well, thanks for being here, and I'm sure we'll collaborate on something. Absolutely.
Always.
Goodbye.